Hello everyone and welcome to another episode in the world of fixing Mark 1s and making them much better than what they were at the start of the day. This job has been on my mind since I bought the car because it's a job that I've done on 50 Shades, I've done on Nick's previous CL. That car is no longer in Nick's ownership, and it has had massive effects on the smoothness and the performance, especially moving off. And I could imagine that there'll be performance benefits at the top end of the range with rebuilding, cleaning, and sticking some new items around the inlet manifold. And the inlet manifold on a Sigma 1.4, 1.6, or even a 125, that you get in the Fiesta, or in a 1.7 in a Puma. Even though it's a metal inlet manifold, it's still the same, really. It's a much more accessible manifold, put it that way, and a much easier job. On a Zetec, I've never seen anybody do this kind of job, and I'm not surprised because nobody's done this on Sigmas. If you have a Ford Sigma and you're happy to spend a good, probably give yourself 2 days, take it off, clean it up and put it back on, maybe within a day if you're quick, but if you've never done it before, I'd say factor in 2 days. Because there'll be a few things that you'll want to do. If you've never seen those videos, rebuilding the inlet manifold on a Mark 1, and it will take you straight to those videos that I did on Nick's car. And Nick will tell you himself what a benefit that made to Project George. And I'm going to do the same with this car because the idle isn't quite smooth as what it should be. And also I think the performance is a little bit off, just a little bit. So I feel that there's some improvements to be made there. But also the cylinder head temperature sensor. You cannot access that sensor without removing the intake manifold or the alternator. But to be honest, you need to remove one of them in the very least. And because I'm doing the manifold, it makes absolute sense to change that sensor now. I can tell you that getting some of the gaskets, I have not got all the gaskets today that I wanted. Getting gaskets for Zetec engines is very difficult compared with a Sigma. I'm not surprised because the last time the engine was actually produced, it was 2005, and the Mark 1 was the last car to have that famous Zetec engine. So it's been a while since it's been out of production, hence the parts are a little bit hard to come by. With a Sigma, it's not so much of a problem because the engine went on to 2017 and a lot of the parts were still applicable right to the very end. Things like oil filters, that's ridiculous. So it does really help. Especially service items. Also, we're going to replace, while we're in there, the starter motor. Now, my aim was to actually get the starter motor out, clean it, change the brushes. You've seen me do that before on, again, Project George. Can't find the brushes, and I'm finding it very difficult to locate them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace it. And I've managed to find one for a very, very reasonable price, and actually it's not a cheap one. It shouldn't be a cheap one, but it's one of those that's been bought by somebody and he's never actually fitted it to the car, from what I can gather. It fully works, and while you're in there, change it, because trying to change the starter motor on one of these without a ramp, without it being on a two-poster, is going to be very difficult. You'll be on your back doing most of it, going round the back of the engine. So I'd rather replace it while the intake manifold is off. Again, like the cylinder head temperature sensor, just while you're in there, you want to think about that and factor that into the whole job, because the last thing you want is to do this job and then the starter motor gives in. That's not what you want on the cylinder head temperature sensor as well, because that is a crucial sensor. People really neglect those sensors. It actually controls your fueling, believe it or not. And it can make an engine run a little bit poorer than what it should be if it's not reading correctly. Apart from that, we have a genuine idle control valve, which was given to me very, very kindly by my friend Mark. They are actually quite inexpensive if you know where to get them from the right places. The idle control valves are actually a bit cheap on the Zetec because they're also shared with the late Endura engine, the last generation of the old Valencia pushrod engine, the HCS, I should say. So it's a bit cheaper and a bit easier to obtain. And I've got one in the box itself. And changing the idle control valve, bit difficult in situ, I can tell you. Your hands around the back and you're feeling, and you can't feel anything, I can tell you. It's very hard to change that sensor. It's not like on a Sigma where it's just there and you can do it in 2 seconds, to be honest. So again, getting the whole manifold off and replacing it, or just giving it a clean and putting it back on, which is what I'd recommend, that's great. And then just pop it back on. All right, let's get cracking. Right, okie dokie. Oh, why have I taken the wheels off to do this job? Well, guys, we've had a bit of a disappointing, not failure, but a result from when I changed the front brakes a couple of months ago. The rear brakes, perfect. Front brakes, sadly, I am getting some juddering under my pedal, not in the steering wheel, because juddering can actually go through the steering wheel as well, but I'm getting some juddering through the brake pedal, and I think I know what it is. It's either the pad or the disc. It could be that these Comline discs are a poor manufacture. I've never had a problem with Comline discs. In fact, it's the only thing from Comline, the only product that bears that name that I would buy. I've never had a problem with them, but there are always bad batches. But these brake pads were fitted by my good friend Tony, and he complained of a couple of things, namely these clips not being correct. And you are right, because I've had to put the old clips from the old pads on these outer brake pads, because the ones that came with those brake pads kept flipping back. They actually kept on pulling away as soon as you engage the brakes. So they were just poor. They were bent all wrong. So I had to do that after that video had ended. I wasn't happy about that. Something I forgot to mention, to be honest. These are Bendix brake pads. Do not buy them, because I've got a feeling that we've got some juddering going on, but it's not happening from any particular side. It's happening on both sides. So I've got some Borg & Beck brake pads. They're going to be swapped over. I'm going to clean it up, redo that. It won't take too long. But anyway, that's not a priority. This is what we're here for. Inlet manifold. Right, first thing, not that actually. You take your fuel pump fuse out. Start the car and let it die. Then you've depressurized the fuel system, because we're going to have to disconnect the fuel rail as well. Then you disconnect your battery, of course. Then you need to disconnect this bloody bugger. There you go. We're going to be disconnecting quite a few things today. Now, this whole thing can come out as one complete assembly, so I'm going to take this bugger out here. Deja vu for people who've watched me do this. Come on. Right. Oh, I actually, the breather pulled out as well. Okay. Yeah, that breather hose came out as well. No matter. Actually, I'll pull that completely off. There's going to be a big parts section going down here today. Lovely. And then we can just pull this off. He says he can pull it off. Why won't you go? This is loose. No, it isn't. This Jubilee clip is really stiff, actually. There we go. Lovely. Now, got this breather pipe here. I'm just going to try and layer this out. You might need a pry bar, but it can be quite stiff to pull this out, this breather hose. That was difficult, that was. Now this breather, I say this breather because I've got a feeling what is down here, and we're going to see it in a second, that is actually where the brake servo takes a feed, actually. So that might power partly the brake servo. I'm not quite sure why that works out, but this hose is a bit chafed on here. I'm not happy with that rubber, but maybe it's just been hitting. And I'm just going to pop that down there for a second, because that's going to be out the way. We can actually start to see things a bit better now. So that goes down here. You want to know why we're doing this job, guys? You can't see it, well, I certainly can. It's sooty in there as anything. Yeah, very, very sooty. I did clean the mouth of this ages ago, but basically we have now got to separate the fuel system from this. Now, all I can see, we've got this bus bar. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to disconnect the throttle linkages. Now, we've got the cruise control cable from the cruise control box here. Okay, now what I need to do is take out the throttle. Now, what you can't see is there's a spring clip just where my finger is. Remove this clip. There we go. Do not drop it. Do not drop it. Don't drop that clip. It's not, if you lose this, it's not the end of the world. Okay, it's not the end of the world, but I'm just saying, ideally you shouldn't. And then we can pull this completely off. This throttle cable, come on. Oh, it's come off without the rubber, lovely. So the rubber wants to stay on. You're not staying on, son, you're coming off. Might need some silicone here. Right, I can't get that off. That's a really, I can't get my hands in. So I'm going to leave that piece of rubber on there because it's all going to come off. And I'll just take this cable out. Right, that was a bit of a pain. So to get this grommet, excuse me, stay where you are. To get this grommet out of this, it's like a square notch it goes through. I'll just take it out completely. You've got this square notch. Now what you've got to do is it obviously goes through where my finger is between the two. You've got to twist this square so it will pull through, okay? So you're going to have to get some long nose pliers in there and get hold of this bit, okay? And twist, and then you could probably pull the whole thing out, okay? So I'm just going to leave that over there, out the way. Now we've got the cruise control cable, and I think this is quite a unique thing, so I'm going to pull this tag. Be very careful. Looks like it's going to pull. Pull this way. There we go. Lovely. It just goes on that groove there, that little notch, and you can see where it clips in there. Okay, lovely. Now, I've got to work out how this goes through. I think it's one of these spline fittings, so I might have to just give it a good pull, but gentle. It's done. What you need to do is I had to have two hands for that. Get a pry bar on this plastic piece. Come out. Okay, this plastic piece is what squares it in with that circular hole. But this is for only people with cruise control. That's a very small number of us in the UK. Anyway, this cable feels a bit more on the firm side. Just move all that out the way now. Now I'm just going to place that around there, but that cable goes in here into the box. Now hopefully this cruise control box won't have to come out. That would be an annoying thing, but hopefully not. Right, physical connections are off. Now we need to start looking at disconnecting this bus bar. Now we have 3 connections that come from this bus bar. Camshaft position sensor, thank you very much. This is our fuel injection wiring loom, okay? And it goes all the way and connects to this plug here. We're not going to disconnect it at the plug, we're just going to move it out the way. And that'll be the best idea. We have a plug down here. That is for the idle control valve. That's where it sits. I'm just going to pull the plug. There we go. Now we have another plug. Oh dear, that's a piggyback. Now we've got another plug down there. Oh, if you can see down there, there's another wire. Now, I've got a feeling that on this Zetec engine, that wire is for the oil pressure switch right at the back of the oil filter. So I'm going to have to get under the car and show you that in a second. The other one is this throttle position sensor wiring. Excuse me. So you can see right there. Just pull that tag. He says pull the tag. Honestly, some things. Just a pick. Magic things these are. So now we have most of that undone. It's starting to come apart now, but I need to disconnect that other wire, because this wire for the idle control valve won't pull away unless the wire for the oil pressure switch comes out. And I'll show you what I meant if you didn't understand that, but I've got to get under now. Hello everybody, you join me at the back of the damn engine. Right, the oil filter, which is in a horrible place. The switch in question is just there at the end of my pick. Now you are going to need to get a pick in, and you're just going to need to try and move it. If you can see what I'm doing, right, just get a pick in and just move it. There we go, that's gone. There we go, it's free. I tell you what, that switch where my finger is there is so close to the oil filter you can't get your hands in. What a bloody awful design that is. I prefer the CVH. Right, back up to the top. There we go, pull it all out. That's what I meant, this cable here. So, throttle position, camshaft, idle control valve, and this one which runs this way to that switch. It's a single brown earth wire. Yeah, that's really interesting, because on a Sigma the oil pressure switch is down here at the front, right? But the connector is an old-fashioned push-on connector that you find in old Mark III Fiestas. It doesn't have this plastic connector plug, this modern connector plug. That's interesting, because I'd have thought the Zetec would be the one to have a push-on connector, because, you know, this is a development of a CVH. You'd think there'd be some old carryovers, and there certainly is on this engine. But the Sigma, being the more modern of the two engines, has the older connector, the older style connector, instead of, you'd expect a Sigma to have one of these. How very interesting. Just something I've noticed. Now, we need to get this bus bar up, basically. We do have a connection to the temperature switch, which we need to replace. So I need to take that off, just getting a screwdriver in there. It's bloody fiddly in here. There we go. Lovely, that's done. That plug is just tuck that plug down there, and we're all free now. Brilliant. Now we do what we usually do. Now the Haynes manual says that you've got to try and stop these clips from going everywhere. You don't, you just push them in. So you have to push them in. I'm going to leave you right there. You push them in while pulling up. That's as simple as what it gets on these. There we go. Just keep doing it along. There we go. Oh, done. One of the seals has dropped off there. Oh, I've got to get that seal quick. Oh, we've dropped a few seals. Right. Okay. That one is still intact. That's where the seal goes. I've got to get that. 2 seconds. Get my pick and retrieve them individually. Thank you. Don't know why that happened. That one. It's like playing a fishing game when you were little. Oh, Damn it. There's always one fish you can't catch. I'll get that later. I'll remember that. Right now, I need this to come out. There we go. Right. I'll get that fish later. All we need to do is just move the bus bar. Yeah, I've seen an eBay seller with this exact Zetec petrol injection bus bar setup. What we do is I'm just going to move that this way. We just don't want it interfering with anything. So I prefer it just to hang around there. Just stay there for the moment. I mean, you can disconnect it from here. I might actually look to doing that. It's one single connection. Oh, do you know what? Sod it. I'll get a small screwdriver and disconnect that connector. You've really just got to get your screwdriver in here and just, because you could snap this tab if you're not careful. That's gone, that has. That's gone, that's gone. Just go away. Pull. You just got to be very, very careful. Lovely. There's a lot of pins in there, and I'll tell you what, some of those pins could do with a bit of a clean from what I could see. Probably a good idea to have this out and okay. Well, I will tell you now, with pins like this, pulling it out and pushing it back in is enough to actually clean some of them connectors. That's a tip that I discovered off, believe it or not, Ed China. That was actually quite a good tip, actually. I'll get some contact cleaning there, but we'll just leave that plug there. Now we've got a bit more access now. Now we've got access to the injection rail. Now, you've got the return, which is the red, and the feed, which goes from here. By the way, these are crimped on. That's interesting. So you can't remove these hoses completely. They look as if they're completely crimped on. Now that's unlike the Sigma where you can remove them completely because they've got these clips at either end. That's a bit of a bugger if these hoses go in the future, because I presume they'd just be complete compression fits. But the usual technique is required to get these off. I'll just get in a bit of a screwdriver. Right up here. Excuse me, get off. There we go. There we go. That is completely free. Push this tab. There we go. And push it through. I might need a bit of a screwdriver. I might need a pick to get the famous pick. Might just be the job. Come on. There we go. Probably 2 picks would help, to be honest. But that clip is now completely free. Just pull. There we go. A bit of petrol might spill on the alternator. Yes, they said in the Haynes manual to stop that from happening, actually. So just try and not leave too much of a residue everywhere. Lovely. Okay. Now I've got to get that bugger undone. You do that in exactly the same way. There we go. It's gone through. No fuel at all. Fantastic. That's what happens when you depressurise it. I was very wary of this clip because there's a piece of plastic here that could have snapped on me. Now you can, I believe, get these clips separately, so it wouldn't be the end of the world, and it wouldn't be a catastrophe in that case if you had a problem with that. But no, these are very high pressured hoses, and they are going to just be curved straight out the way. Right, okay. Now we've got a few things that we need to take off. So the fuel rail is pretty exposed now. Now most of you know how this goes. We've got 2 8mm. And do stand corrected. They're not 8mm, they're 7mm. Ford do like the odd 7mm here and there, and the odd 6 just to confuse people. These are never tight. Okay, both are out, and this fuel rail is only being held in by the injector seals. Now, there's no real way of doing this. You gotta do it two-handed, and you just gotta give it a gentle wiggle. Now, I've gotta be honest, let's get these seals a bit of a fighting chance. That is silicone lubricant, not WD-40 or plus gas or anything, okay? It may penetrate into the seals, and it may make it easier for this to come out. Oh, Jesus, that came off. Oh, that came off easily. Okay, so we can just lure up to this side. I just got to be careful of that injector. I've got to do the same. Got to do the same on the other side now. Excuse me. There we go, done. Okay, that's a good technique. You just aim to break the seal. Yeah, we're okay. We're all good on this side. Okay, just aim to get that out as a complete assembly. Oh, we still got the vacuum line for the fuel pressure regulator. Goodness me, there's always something actually. There's always something. Yeah, so this is the vacuum line that I recognise 100%. Just don't wreck it, Andrew, because that would be another part added to the list. We are going to remove this completely in a second. Just pull it off gently. There we go. Done. Okay, just before it rains completely. Okay, we're all out. All the seals are there. They're not stuck in. Lovely. You can get those injector seals freely and readily, to be honest, but I prefer to put them back in with the original seals if they're not damaged. I think that's the way of going about it. Now, the only differences to this and a Sigma, to be honest, is your fuel entry is is quite clearly there. It goes through here, through this steel pipe, to the end of this rail, feeds all the injectors, keeps everything pressurised. The injectors are held by these clips as usual. In fact, this seems really good actually. It just needs a bit of maybe I give it a bit of auto sol. I'll clean these injectors up, and I may take them out of these clips. You just take these clips to the left and they should pull out. Obviously, fuel pressure regulator, bit of a vacuum valve, takes a feed from the manifold, and it will return fuel to the tank through the return line if it feels like there's too much pressure in the rail, and you're not using a lot, so it will just feed a little bit backwards. And it is dependent on throttle position, so throttle position is quite relevant to how much fuel goes back to the tank. I suspect when you're moving and the throttle is depressed, there won't be much going back. So yes, I'm very happy with all these, and you see the holes at the end. Hold on 2 seconds. Look at the size of them holes. I don't think my camera is good enough to focus in. Come out to that light. That is why you use quality fuel, ladies and gentlemen, because those holes can get blocked up very easily. Now, if you think that was the easy part, it certainly was, because getting to those bottom bolts there are not going to be very good. But anyway, first of all, we've got to disconnect some of the actual vacuum lines. Now, this vacuum goes to the fuel pressure regulator. It's here. You just got to wiggle it off. There's another one down here. See this yellow one? Yeah, this is the one that comes off. Oh, come on. Actually, I can't get to that in a second. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this one off. There's a vacuum line to the charcoal canister. This can be a bit stiff. Just, there we go. Just be careful, because these can break. They can get rather brittle. But I know which bits I can get hold of, and this is certainly one of them. Oh, there we go. It's just come off this little pipe here. There we go. So pop that over there. That was the first one. I'll just put my torch down here so you can actually have a better view. So the one we've just disconnected, just get my light in there. Yeah, so the one we've just disconnected is this one here. Then we've got to get this vacuum. Is this a vacuum? Yes, it's. Hold on. I'm just trying to try. No, it isn't. Sorry. It's here. It's actually. Yeah. So basically, it takes fuel vapors stored in this canister and into the inlet manifold. And what you do, I've seen all sorts of people get pry bars, and honestly, you don't need to do that. You just need to get your fingers in, pushing at these clips, and pull. There we go. That's gone. That's gone. Right, it's just interfering with this stupid thing in the way. There we go. Done. That's done. That's out the way. That is lovely. Just leave it there. Now, get this vacuum line off. Come on. Yep, we'll take some time to get this thing off. There we go. It's gone. Oh, dearie me. Oh, there's a bit of chafing going on there. That is not good. Okay, I know I can replace this line if I have to, and I can do it at any point. Okay, I might need to get a new one, because that is absolutely a hairline away from being chafed all the way through, and we will get a hole. And that will affect that regulator from doing its job properly. Now that's all disconnected. Now we've got this hose from the breather line, from the breather box at the front where the PCV valve is, goes through a line and it goes all the way to the back, but I can't get at that clip. There's no way that's going to happen. So that's going to have to remain on. I mean, you could try and twist it off there, but really, honestly, you're kidding me. That is welded together. I've just tried it. So we actually are now going to proceed. We've taken a few more things off. Ideally, take your cam sensor out. I might take this out because it might interfere, because we're going to have to bring this up. But we are all almost ready now. There is a clip. Now you see the wiring for this temperature sensor. There's a clip here, and it's actually attached to one of the two studs for the intake manifold. Get it off. There we go. Now this clip is really important, because the wire for that temperature sensor should sit in that groove, and I'll tell you why that would not be a good thing if it didn't. If this wire sits against the block, your temperature gauge will behave erratically. Guess how I know that? Mr. Ink was telling me that my fuel temperature gauge was, well, put it this way, it was a bit intermittent. It didn't know where it wanted to be. I thought, uh-oh, the sensor's gone. Actually, I think the sensor could do with changing, but that's not at fault. It was because the wire, whoever changed the alternator, did not put that wire in that groove, so it was touching against the block and causing my fuel gauge to do that. So if you've got one of these cars and your fuel gauge, not your fuel gauge, your coolant, your temperature gauge, if it's behaving erratically, make sure that the wire is in this. That's your problem. Well, we have nothing more to disconnect. Excuse me, my back is killing me. We have basically 1, 2, 3, and I think we've got 2 more down there, a 4 and a 5 down here. Oh, there we go. You see that bugger down there between those two? Yeah, and we've got another one right down there. That's going to be the worst one to get to, so I'm going to have to use a Miranda of tools. We may have to go down the back side, but I don't want to be doing that because it's quite a long way to the floor. So no. We've also got a nut and a stud here that you can take out, and a nut and a stud that you've got to take out. Maybe the nut will come out with the studs, but you need to remove those studs because we can't, there's no way we can go far back, and it says in the manual you've got to take the studs out. So first of all, we're going to need, I believe it looks like a 10mm. I'll see if that will fit. Oh yeah, that fits very, very snugly. There we go. Never had a problem with, oh for goodness sake. This is going to be such a problem, this is. Yeah, that's definitely loose. Let's see if I can get that. Oh, that looks like it could be a 11, 12 or 13. I'll work that one in a second. I'll try and... Yeah, you're going to have to use a range of extensions for a lot of these nuts now. Excuse me. So anyway, at the moment I can't be bothered, so I'm just going to use a spanner, and I'm just going to yeah, I'm just going to use a spanner on this other nut. There we go. Lovely. Just so you can see, it's this one I'm taking out, okay? Just take them out best as you can. And I'll take this on fully out so you can see. We're not removing that at the moment. We're going to remove that a bit later. As I say, when I'm rebuilding this, you just take out those 4 bolts. Simple as that. Okay, so the nut has actually come off that stud. It is a 13. This is out, this is out, this is out. Okay, got 3 there. Try and get this nut off this stud again. There's only 2 studs with nuts. They're at the far end, that one and that one. That's it. The others are solid bolts. I think the studs, I'll tell you why they put the studs on, is to line up the inlet manifold correctly first time. It's to actually help you. So that's probably a good thing. But it's whether these studs want to come out and play ball. That is going to be the biggie. Right, now, can you see my socket down there? Yep, that's on that bolt down there. So one of the 2 bolts, that one. And there's another one there where my socket is, being between these 2 trunks. Now what I've done, I've had to use, I'll show you what I've actually used to get this, because you don't want to go too far this way because you have no room as leverage. But I have managed to loosen it. Again, they're not tight, it's just getting to these 2. And you can do it from this side, but you've got to take everything off. You've got to have all your pipes out the way to do this, and you should do that anyway. That is coming out very, very nicely. That's loose now. Right, I'll show you what I used. So, still more fuel coming out. You got a 10mm quarter inch extension, and then a 1/4 inch to a 3/8 adapter to your 3/8, and that should be the right amount of length. So it's not too short and not too long. That is a tricky one. You need the right amount of extensions to get that one. Now I'm going to use a completely different setup for the other bolt, because that is not, it might be good for that bolt, but for this one, no. Blimey, now there's a lot of fuel coming out of there. Excuse me, mopping up. Should theoretically be able to come out if I just put, to be honest, this is the tricky bit. Yeah, that's dead loose. Now that bolt's going to fall out when the inlet manifold comes out. Getting it in is going to be a difficult one by hand pressure. I think that's where you're going to have to put the bolt in the socket and then sort of wind it in and then attach the ratchet once the bolt has started winding in by a few threads. That's the only way you're going to do that. Now the middle one, I'll show you how to do that one as well. Now this is the thing, I actually forgot the technique I used the other day to see what combination of extensions and spanners can I use to get this middle bolt, but I have to come out all the way over here. I can't do it. I can't do it. To be honest, I'm just going to get a spanner and go in this way across. I'm just trying to avoid the idle control valve because that's kind of in my way, but I've just about got my... Ooh, that's the wrong way. That wouldn't help. Just about managed to loosen it off. There we go. Oh, it's going to take forever, this is. It may just be useful to go from the back side on this one, but I'm just going to continue doing it this way. And then we can get it off. Wow, studs next. This is becoming one of my old school how to do episodes step by step, but really honestly, if I cut bits out, you're not going to know what to do. There we go. I've got it with my hand. There we go. And in fact, be able to get the other bolt. I just stick my hand over. There we go. I've got the other bolt as well, because that other bolt wasn't quite out. There we go. You may have to do it that way. You may have to insert the bolts by doing it hand tied, by putting your hand at the back. The problem is you need a very small hand, and you can see how my gloves have just been butchered by scraping my hand against everything. But now I need to find if that's an E8 Torx. Oh, I think it is actually. This is quite a common size for Ford studs. E8. Yeah, that is. Perfect. Oh, that's gone loose. Wow, that stud was not tight whatsoever. Oh, it's coming out by hand. I wasn't expecting that. I was not expecting that at all. I've got to be honest, guys, even though I've just said E8, I've got a feeling that is still too big. This feels like it could be an E6, potentially. I don't have that in my Halfords advanced socket set. That's a bit of a bummer. But luckily, we didn't have a bit of a problem. Don't tell me it's double-sided. That feels a bit more loose to me. I think you can get away with it, but if that was tight, I'll tell you what, shall we reverse the ends on that? It's the same size on both sides. I'll have the shiny bit. Yeah, I'll insert it the other way around. You can just switch it round. Then I've got to get this one out. The alternator does not impinge on this. There it is. It's so easy. Doesn't look tight at all. Oh, I love how stuff comes apart like that. Oh, it's come away. It's all come away. Lovely, fantastic. All right. I think we could say that this is about to come off now. Yeah, gaskets look decent. Oh, that looks cokey. That is cokey as hell. Okay. Oh my goodness me. So the person, I didn't see that sticker before. They put a Napa bloody alternator on it. Do you know, I've got real suspicions about Napa products that just keep appearing from all over the place. But now we should be able to hook all this out. No, I tell you what, I'm going to take this. I've paid a lot of money for this sensor. No, I'm taking that out. I'm not taking any chances with this, to be honest. I think it's one of the things that they say you've got to actually take out, so I'd rather just take the cam sensor out. Oh God, this is tight. There we go, lovely. Ugh, load of engine oil as well. Ugh. Excuse me. Right, now you see all this aluminium stuff here. So we got this breather this hose that came from the air intake. Got another hose that goes to the brake servo, and we got this sort of aluminium covered pipe. Well, that I've just taken it out the bottom of the intake manifold. That's the brake servo connector. What you do, you have to push the red tag in and pull the pipe. Okay, push the red tag in and pull the pipe. You'll know what I mean by that, but that's all loose now. Let's get me the bugger over the job this is. Right, I thought I'd leave you there. This is where it takes a little bit of time to get out. Now I'm aware that we've got a breather pipe still attached. Careful that wiring. Right, I'm afraid I'm just going to have to take some of that wiring off. Just got a bit of wiring loom over here. That's it. This is where you need to look to check if anything's hitting anything, and we're really out at the bottom here and the access is exceptional. Now, oh, right, okay, excuse me, we're not out yet, but that's the hose. That's what came out. So you've got to push that red clip in and pull that servo hose. Hello, intake. Oh, hello, intake control valve. Excuse me. Just look at where it's mounted. How the hell are you supposed to get to that in situ? Now I've had to turn it sideways because I've had to release this wiring. We're still hitting a few things down here. We've got the starter motor, which we're going to take out. That's why you do this job. You just can't get access to that starter properly. I've just been wary not to smash the alternator or break its wiring. And there we are. There's our temperature sensor right there. It's just impossible to get to. I mean, I suppose removing the alternator could make it accessible, but excuse me, my legs have just gone. I'm bending over. Got a serious bad back at the moment. So we've got this breather hose. I still can't get to it. There's no way I can take that off in situ. So I'm just going to have to twist it off, basically. When I've got this out, I can twist it off. But the only way I think of doing it is by angling the whole thing out now. So I'm just going to leave you there, and you can watch me suffer. Right, so what I'm doing is, there we go, it's hitting all the pipe works at the back. This hose has been tangled up. Get in there, get in there. Just take your time. And if I have to angle it out this way, this seems to be working at the moment. Do you know, I'm half tempted to actually take that engine mount out and push this engine forwards, because this is horrible. Right, that's done. Almost there, almost. I know this hose looks really precarious, but unfortunately there's no way of doing this properly. Almost there. Just managed to get it sort of routed around. Oh, there we go. Right, take this hose completely off. Oh dear me. Oh gosh. Right, 2 seconds. Right, just gonna unclip this blasted hose. I don't think we've done any damage to any component down there. That was horrible, just horrible. That has been disconnected. You can stay there. And this is the prize. Oh my goodness me, what a fight that was. I think in future, I think my advice would be to take that engine mount out and rock it forwards. Unfortunately, have we scratched? Well, it doesn't matter, this cam cover is rubbish anyway. This has got to be replaced at some point. But there you go, guys, we've got a bit more access. So, just for a bit of terminology here, while we're in here. So, this is the hose that goes into your air intake. It goes through here, and we've sort of got this two one-way tube here. So we've got this that goes to the brake servo, right? That feeds the brake servo. But we've also got that. So we've got two types of vacuum here. I'm not sure why this is here, but it's been crimped, and it's not one of those hose crimps I can take off very easily. I'm not impressed with this hose though, I've got to be honest. And we've got some aluminium that's been taped because of the heat from this exhaust, which has been replaced. This section has been replaced in the past. I think we've got an oil leak from the filter. I did suspect when I took the plug off this oil pressure switch, there was a bit of a leak here. We got the cylinder head temperature sensor here, so just get that stupid wiring and cute. So we're going to take that out. $15mm. Oh, bloody hell! That was yep, that was loose. Just wind it out. It's only actually held in by a couple of threads, as far as I can see. And it isn't a coolant temperature sensor, by the way. Cylinder head. It measures the temperature of the cylinder head itself, not the coolant, which I think is much improved. Much improved. There we go. Now that's gonna go in my spares. It looks a bit as if it's bent, actually. That's not my eyes. That looks bent. That looks bent to my eye. Yeah, that's going to go in my spares. So that's all done. As I say, we've got an alternator here. By the way, we're missing the plug for the positive cable. There should be a rubber plug over that, but I think this aftermarket alternator, which has performed well. I'm very dubious about these sort of things, but it's performed well. I'm going to give this a bit of a clean down here, but the steering rack looks really, really dry down there. I can't see any leaks on the pipe work. I'm really impressed. Well, this is my opportunity of getting in and having a good clean up down here. Now I am going to remove this starter motor. I'm not going to do this on camera, but basically we've got to take out this nut here, okay, and this nut here, and then this weather shield will come off and we'll be able to put a new one on. There's a bolt here, there's a bolt here, so there's one bolt here where my finger is, there's a bolt on this side, and there's another bolt where there's an earth cable just there. But as I say, this is not the purpose of today, so I'm going to remove that starter motor off camera. But as far as you're concerned, this is the complete assembly. Now you see, it's mounted on the back side. How are you supposed to get to it? Goodness me. Yeah, a bit of paint work as well. I need to clean that off, but this is the same manifold for both engines, so you know. We've got our vacuum ports, obviously the breather port, the servo port. Lovely. And I'll take those bolts out and do a bit of bench work on this. But really, honestly, it's exactly the same as the Sigma. You clean all the insides, you change these gaskets, because these can go flat over time. This certainly has. It's gone a bit hard as well, to be honest. So yeah, you change these gaskets over, please, and clean inside these mucky pipes. In fact, if I just get my... Oh, it looks bad. It looks better on camera, but I can assure you it doesn't look very good. That will restrict the breathing, it will restrict the airflow. So yeah, I'm going to rebuild this. I mean, it's not going to take too much rebuilding. This is going to stay on, this throttle position sensor, no problems with it. Give this a bit of a lubrication. I'll do that all off camera, because I need to stop now. Anyway guys, that is how to remove the inlet manifold on this car. I'm going to do a lot of cleaning up, a lot of prep work, just general inspection work, and if anything comes up, I'll report back in the next episode. You take care guys, see you in the next episode.